Hello again, this is Jessica from the Oakland County Treasurer's Office, and this rounding video is for those units without capture districts, so without any DDAs, brownfields, TIFAs, anything like that. When working on these rounding spreadsheets, I find it easiest to work left to right. So if you're using these worksheets for summer or winter tax calcs before sending out your tax bills, you would want to update your rates from your 4029. That's this column here. If you're using the worksheets just at settlement time and are downloading them from the FTP site, then our office will have already updated the rates, so you can start with updating the taxable values. You'll pull your taxable values from your page 4 warrant, and these must match the taxable values from your tax roll to show that you're in balance with your assessor. We'll start by entering the taxable values from the amended total column of your page 4 warrant. And on our spreadsheets, we only enter information into the yellow highlighted cells. So we'll enter those taxable values into the school section. So on the warrant, we'll go down to the school section. You can see here Berkeley Schools, and then on our spreadsheet we would enter the taxable values. You can see here on the warrant you have your PRE other, and the taxable value would be down here, and that goes right there. Then you have your CPP, that goes right there. And IPP, this unit doesn't have that, and they don't have 494 either. And then non-PRE would be entered there. And on the warrant you have the summer and the winter, so you would have to enter both of those in on your worksheet, summer and winter. So you can see for winter these taxable values have already been entered in there. I also like to double check the total taxable values for each school district to make sure they match. Make sure that you entered everything correctly. Then this unit also has Royal Oak Schools, so it would be the same thing. You'd have to go through and enter the summer taxable values and then the winter taxable values. I also like to double check the taxing authorities that bill on all properties to make sure that my taxable values have been entered correctly there. So my total taxable value, 298,454,680, and that matches county operating there. The next step is to add or subtract pennies in the original warrant column of your rounding worksheet. The purpose of this is to make the original warrant column match the amended total taxes due column of the warrant, so that when we enter our billed amounts, we'll get the real rounding between what the warrant says and what was actually billed. So to make this original warrant column match the amended total column of the warrant, we need to add or subtract pennies. There shouldn't be much more of a difference than a few pennies in either direction. If there is a bigger difference than that, then you'll want to make sure that your rates are correct and your taxable values are correct. So to add pennies, I'll just click in the cell, and then in the top formula bar at the end of the formula you can do plus 0.01 to add a penny or minus 0.01 to subtract a penny. So I'll just go down my warrant and adjust my pennies as needed. So you can see here for county operating, our warrant column on our worksheet matches the amended total taxes due column of our warrant. So no action is needed there. Our Parks and Rec also matches, but our HCMA, you can see on our worksheet, it's 0.37, but on our warrant it's 0.38, so we need to add a penny to our original warrant column. So I clicked in the cell, and then at the end of the formula, click in the box and do plus 0.01, and that'll add a penny. Our Zoo Authority matches and our Art Institute matches. So what you'll want to do is just go down the line on your original warrant column of your rounding worksheet and add or subtract pennies to make it match the amended total taxes due column on your warrant. So I'll go through and do that now. Okay, so I've gone through and adjusted my pennies. So now, as you can see at the bottom here, our total should match our warrant. So let's see. Yep, so you can see there the summer total matches the summer total on our warrant, and the winter total here matches the winter total on our warrant. The next step is going to be to enter the build amounts into the build column on your rounding worksheet. And for that we use tax roll, just an adjusted tax roll, totals only, with the detailed personal property option checked. And that gives you the CPP and IPP there. So we'll just start at the top and go down the line. For most items you'll use the total all districts, and for that, let's see, on this total column you can see county operating total, OIS allocated total, all of those. For the schools, you'll want to go to these separate school district pages to get the school operating, school sinking, school debt. So for this, we'll just enter some of our build amounts. So for county operating, we'll just enter that amount in there. And let's see, OIS allocated and voted. Bigger. For state education, we separate out the CPP and IPP. So for these, you would want to go to this CPP column. And for state education, you can see here the total 9189.54. And then if you go to the total column here, and then in this set other, you can do equals and enter that total amount of set, and then do minus and click in that cell for CPP. It'll subtract it out. So then you're just left with the state ed for other, for non-CPP, non-IPP. It'll be a similar thing for your school operating and school supplemental. We go down to our school district for Berkeley here, and we can look for school operating. So you can see there's school operating for CPP 915642. We'll type that in. And then if we go to the total page for that 020 school district, and for school operating, you can see, let's see, this amount right here. So we'll do equals 411,257.34. Then you'll do minus and click in that cell to subtract out the CPP, and then that leaves just the operating for the non-PRE. And then for your sinking, you'll just, on your total, just type in that amount for the sinking and just go through it that way. You'll want to do that for all of your school districts to get all of the information in there. And I mistyped that. 0 form. There you go. So I'm just going to go through and add my build amounts in. Okay, so I've entered the rest of my build amounts, and if we've done everything correctly, then we can be confident that our rounding column is accurate. So you'll want to double check to make sure that the totals in your build amount column match the totals on your tax roll. So we'll just double check that so you can see for summer we have 14254,146, and that's our total there. And then our winter total also matches. You'll also want to look down your rounding column to make sure that there aren't any numbers that look way out of whack. Something that's has a higher rounding amount than the other columns, or you also want to look for positive rounding. You can't have any positive rounding. So for this, everything looks good. The numbers are all pretty close for those taxing authorities that bill on everything. If you do have positive rounding, or if you do have something that looks way crazy, you'll just want to go back and verify that your rates and your taxable values are entered correctly, and make sure you input your build amounts correctly. Also, your total rounding, that amount at the bottom, should be close to last year's. A little tip about rounding, for the taxing authorities that have more decimal places, like this one has 4 decimal places, the rounding's going to be higher than like this one that only has 1 decimal place. You can see that that's about half. So that's just a little tip for you if you're wondering why things look a little different. There are a few units that have special assessments on taxable value, so those handful of treasurers will have rounding on their special assessments, but a majority of you guys won't. So once you're confident with the rounding, everything looks good, then you would enter these amounts from your rounding column into the rounding adjustment column of your settlement sheet. So that's how those rounding worksheets work. If you have any questions, please let us know, and thanks for watching.